in a particular direction, what's happening there is that we put the energy in a conscious space, and the conscious space will only be limited to what we are aware of. You follow?
Yeah.
So we would react in that way, and we would believe that we need to protect ourselves in that energy, and we'll be correct, because what we're doing is we're functioning within the energy field that we are aware of. But then there's a greater energy, the one that you and everything else connected by. And that energy, you don't need to protect it at all. So if you function in that energy, that's the one that you blend with everything. That's the one that you would hear of miracles where people would manifest things and create things would happen, is because of that energy. Because when you function with the energy that you are aware of, your awareness will only create for you what you can within that limited energy.
Mm-hmm.
And for example, if you need to manifest $10 million tomorrow, you can't do it with the current energy that you're functioning in. You'll have to expand your energy.
True.
Everybody?
Yeah.
So you would be able to create what you're trying to do. Now we're talking about all the attraction and all these different things that people tend to hear, and we're breaking it down so it have certain ways of staying away from. So when you're functioning in one specific frame of energy, let's say frame, because it has so much different feels to the understanding. So we're just talking about subconscious and conscious energy. The subconscious energy is the feel that you performing in on a regular basis, but you might be aware of some of it and not of all of it. Then there's the conscious feel that you are aware of, the energy that you would want to protect, the energy that you believe that you could make things happen. That's the energy that you would put effort into in what you're doing. So when you surround yourself in a particular frame of mind where you put effort into things, and you could attract things into your life, but you would not attract anything beyond that energy unless you apply more energy. Follow?
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, your subconscious energy runs, and it takes the fuel from this energy here. Now, the subconscious energy is the energy that flows with everything, in between everything. So when the plant comes out of the ground, seedling, grows into a tree, and then the tree dies, it's just the understanding that the energy in different forms. You follow?
Follow.
But can I ask a question? So why you don't need to protect that energy? Because it's
Because
one. It's one.
that energy doesn't need protection. It is everything.
Oh, okay.
You can't protect it. You are already a part of it. Everybody connected.
Mm.
What would you need to protect?
Nothing.
You follow?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But
Makes sense.
the understanding that we function with a conscious mind and a limited understanding of how things go and how things work, we would believe we need to protect it. And that is what we need to protect, our understanding within that frame of mind. But then what you would do is, as you get enlightened in certain, in certain fields, that's what they say, as you become knowledgeable of who you truly are, you'll realize that I no longer need to protect this energy because I am of greater.
Mm.
You follow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is essentially how the energy flows. So you may take an Uber. Uber not here. What we have down here? Ride share.
You're right, sure.
So you take a ride share with the driver who, in a particular frame of mind, he already upset that his week not going so well. And he didn't make the quota he wanted to make. So he kind of have a sour frame of mind. Yeah? Everybody know what I mean when I say sour.
Mm.
So he's sour. But you not sour. So you come in and you try to have a conversation, and he not in the mood for a conversation. So you relax yourself. You say, well, let me stay calm because it's no problem. I just taking a ride along and we achieve where we going to the destination. And somewhere along the lines, something take place and he had something negative to say about, let's say, females. Yeah? Because he paint everybody with a bad brush. What we would tend to do is allow that energy to get into our frame. You follow?
Yeah.
And then we internalize it. And because we internalize it, we already started change certain aspects of our being, our complete being, remember, body, mind, and soul. So our being starts to go under a slight transformation, and we are affected. Even if we don't show it, we would start to transfer that energy throughout our day in different things that we're doing. So that is why I would try to protect. Now, if you're functioning on a higher level, and I'm using higher literally for what it means, you're using a higher mind, you're using a higher recognition of who you are. When he comes in there, you will know exactly what to say to change the frame of mood. And you would not be able to tap into that without guessing. When you went there, you might say, well, let me be happy and bubbly, so you be happy and bubbly. And he don't want to hear about you being happy and bubbly right now, because that's making him more pissed off. But when you function with greater energy, you will know exactly what to do, because you're functioning in a mindset that you are the I am all. You follow? You are the universe. So what takes place there is that even though he, in his mind, upset, and he is protecting that energy that he pushing, in the sense that I am angry and I am bottling this because someone else is in the vehicle with me, even though he's not doing a good job of it. You follow? It's how simple this thing that's just twisted inside there. And we're not even talking about ego and so many other different things, which all connected within the same sphere. We're just talking about him trying to bottle his energy and how he interpreting stuff. And that's what would take place. He would interpret it and he would listen to what you say. And if you say anything to trigger him, he would let you know what he thinks. And we live our life like this on a regular basis. Even though we might be putting on a smile on our face and trying to be a particular way, we allow people's energy to interfere with us because we try to function in a conscious understanding of ourselves. And there's so much to let go of when you're functioning with the universe. You don't want to function in that understanding anymore. You follow?
Yeah.
So that has to do with fear as well, right?
Fear is a form of it. So fear isn't real in the perspective that you are creating something in your conscious awareness that is not in existence. And because you're doing that, you transferring some of your energy into that, because your energy always full of creative energy. So you're creating something that unreal. So then you're expecting something negative to happen. Guess what's going to happen? Put your energy in that. Follow?
Yeah.
Somebody laughing. I don't know.
It's me here. Just saying, how many times have I done this?
And that's exactly what takes place. Now, if you function from a greater energy, you wouldn't have the time to put any energy towards fear, because you know that you are already part of everything. So there's nothing there to fear. There's nothing. You would go literally in a space that you are unaware of and you don't know, but you would function and flow exactly as it should. That's the understanding that we don't really hold on to. Go ahead.
So the key to it is acknowledging, or let's say fear, sadness, whatever it is, acknowledging that it is not true.
Fear is a good one there. Fear is not true.
So you will acknowledge that the feeling of fear that you're feeling is not true, and then in your mind,
The
kind of
feeling,
accept.
the feeling is correct.
Feeling it.
But the reason why you're feeling that way is something that you have created, which is not true.
So you have to acknowledge that what you're not the feeling, but what the situation.
Yeah.
I guess you use that is not true.
Yes.
And since it's not true, and you know that you're bigger than or better than, well, not better than, but bigger than, right? Then you then make yourself believe or understand or come to terms with, I don't need to associate with that feeling
Right.
that
This
I'm
is the
feeling.
this is the conscious mind experience you're referring to.
Yeah.
Yes. So the conscious mind who becoming aware of fear, the fear being unreal, would then direct the energy away from that. So you don't put any energy into that because they realize the fear is not real. So you try to return it, internalize it, more or less centering, just like when you're going to meditate. And then, even though it's still there in the little fibers and the embers inside of your mind, you don't put any energy into focusing on it. And eventually, it's going to go away. And when you step out and do the thing that you're fearful of, and you realize that it does not exist, that fear that you was thinking about does not exist. You're not seeking this perfect way, which is the other thing that we tend to do. We tag that the way we would like to express ourselves in face of the fear. We would put an expectation onto it, and when we don't get the expectation, we would say, "Well, you see, it coulda," and it almost. I know everyone know what exactly what I'm speaking about.
Mm.
Some know more than others. So that's what we tend to do. And it's every bit of it, we creating that part. Every single day you're creating. You're always in that mood. You know why you're always creating? Because that's who you are. Energy.
Mm.
So you always energy. What energy does? If you
That's it.
take water or a spoon or anything and put it into the socket, or you throw the broken wires on the ground, that the energy doesn't move, does it?
No, it does.
Moves, it moves on
It
to the
moves.
next. Moves.
Everyone knows
Energy
that's what energy does.
transcends.
Energy seeks.
Mm.
It's always on the move.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
one thing that is known, and is the exact same thing with us. So you always have that energy running about all over, always seeking something. So somebody says something on that side, and you hear it. You have the opportunity to say, they have nothing to do with me. But what we tend to do is get involved in that, put energy into that. And every time energy transfers, just like everything else, something will be given and something will be received. Hmm? Yes, somebody know exactly what I'm talking about. So something will be given and something will be received. So you don't want to pick up energy from people who, you don't want to deal with, especially when you have just that conscious understanding of who you are, right? And you're not the conscious awareness of who you are, which is two different things. Understanding, which will be limited to what you know, and as you expand the knowledge some more, it will be limited to what you know, and you expand it some more, and it's still limited to what you know. And then there's awareness, which is greater because you're aware, but you're not limited to understanding. Everybody understand that?
Yeah.
If you could say that one more time again for me.
All right. There's understanding and then there's awareness. You follow? So the little child will have an understanding of the alphabet. And you would have a greater understanding of the alphabet because you could utilize words in different ways. And then when you learn several languages, you'll have an even greater understanding, because now you're expressing yourself in different forms across many spheres. When you have an awareness, the awareness is that even as a child, you already know the full spectrum. You follow? And if you have the ability to draw wisdom, then you could express anything effectively. The awareness functions with the greater energy. Awareness is in, so many different forms. But what we tend to do, which is what the understanding of energy, what we tend to do is that we limit things to what our mind is thinking about. And what we're thinking about all the time, what we put in our energy into, what we put in our personal awareness into, is what we will harness for ourselves. Case in point, like Lisa mentioned, the fear. Or if you want to attract something into your life. But when you have a limited awareness of the thing and a limited understanding of the thing, just as you mentioned before, you would not be able to create the yacht that you might want unless you expand as much as you can your energy fields and your awareness.
So how you expand your energy field and awareness? I mean, when you're thinking about like a little child, as they go up into older classes, you read books, you know, that's how you get to expand your mind, to expand your vocabulary and stuff like that. But on a spiritual sense, how do you say, well, you want to expand your energy to the things that you don't know?
Expanding your energy for the things that you don't know is you have to be aware that there is everything else. Even though everything is inside of you, there's everything else beyond you, which you are also part of. It's quite difficult for just talking it at random and someone understands it, because it's not something that you practice. The little child, the baby again, would run about and do whatever they want to do at any particular time of the day, whatever they choose. No one here in the collective group does that. None.
I mean, they would say we're crazy if we do some of the things, babies.
That's exactly what happened. So you wouldn't be functioning the same level of awareness, and you might even look to child and say, that is what I would never do that in this particular way. When you're doing that, it's the same kind of thing. You already put criteria on who you think you are. So when it comes in your mind, I should do this right now. If it doesn't fit into the mold that you already have for who you believe you should be, I'm not going to do this. And that's what takes place. And oftentimes, when, it'll tie into so many things. I didn't want to talk about purpose tonight, but yes, it will tie into that as well. Because a lot of the times that you have to expand your energy and expand your awareness of who you are. And that's the way it functions and it flows. So when you learn to do that, and you learn to do that simply by, you could observe. Some people would pray, some people would meditate, and some people would try to learn as much as they can. You learn as much as you can, but to put it into practice, you need to move away from what you think you know. And for many, that's quite difficult. That's why we take it upon ourselves to help as much as we can. It's quite difficult because you learn so much about life from experience, but you learn from a conscious experience in a physical state. And then you realize that my life is a lot more complicated than I really thought, because I am made up of body, mind, and soul. And if I'm made up of body, mind, and soul, my body is not the only thing that experience in life, nor is my mind. My soul is also experiencing life. Remember the thing we talk about that just disappear when you die? Yeah, that's not how it works. So even when you're expanding your energy, that's where the soul comes in. That's the job for the soul. So you must connect. If you're not connecting completely, you're not really expanding anything. You'll probably be expanding your knowledge and your awareness of a situation because you expanded your knowledge. But then there's a far greater reach that you'd be unaware of. Just as you learn a little bit more, but then there's so much more. When you're functioning in just awareness, you're aware of everything. So you would be talking to someone who you're not aware, they're not aware that you know things about stuff because you tapping into a greater awareness.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say something there, if I could.
Yeah.
What you just said there, I could relate to the living in the limitations that you put upon yourself. Because a few years back, well, not too many years, because like light only now starting to come in. I remember actually sitting down and consciously looking at how I was living and how I had attached myself to my profession.
Yeah.
So everything was about the image. And I was this image consultant. And so even your wardrobe, what you chose to do, and everything was just in this little space.
Yeah.
And after a while, I started to, well, of course, when the business that was flowing before stopped flowing the way it used to flow, then I started to see myself as like a failure, if I had done better, if I had been a better consultant, image, and I would be going crazy over that. And then one day I realized a simple thing, I looked in my wardrobe and I didn't have any going out clothes. I did not have any casual clothes. I didn't have clothes where normal people would just put on some clothes and go down the road and relax themselves. And everything was about how would this look? How would that look? And when I started to let go of that, I say, I'm not my body. I'm not my profession. I'm not any of those things. I could go outside of those things. Then I started to really enjoy. I want to use that word, yes. Enjoy. Living a little bit more. I started to accept myself a little bit more. In that, what I would normally be, for example, before, you wouldn't see me under $2 and makeup, I would have to have the makeup and everything in place and the hair, everything in place, because I have to all the image consultant on. And then you start to wear these things as though they actually matter. And then you start to lose them and you realize that no, you could live without those kinds of things. Yes, you want to present yourself well.
You can do it, Catherine. You can do it, But just as you mentioned, you don't associate and attach yourself to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you could do it. You could put on your makeup. You could be who you feel and be contented. Be happy.
Yeah, but now I find that if I want to go down the road and I just need to powder my face, that's it.
You do it.
Before it had to be the whole works because there was this thing that had to present itself. Now I just powder my face. If I don't feel to powder my face, that's it. A pair of slippers, that's it. That's it. You're
moving in a different energy and a different a greater understanding of the truth of who you are. So, and it will just continue expanding. The more you practice it, it'll just keep growing and growing and growing.
Well, I pray God so, because I'm really enjoying this life now.
Sometimes we both have to run up on the rocks and crash, like what you mentioned earlier. In understanding yourself as energy, which we don't understand because we just believe we function, and we recognize that energy moves, it transfers. So you put energy into the job or you put energy into a relationship and you get back and whatnot and whatnot and whatnot. So you understand certain things about it, key principal things. And I just wanted to touch on what Katya mentioned, because the way you were utilizing the energy, right? Remember, you are part of something greater. So your conscious experience just limited to you, this one being, just like one cell in the body. But the one cell in the body who believes, and I'm not saying you do, but we always tend to believe we know a little bit more than we letting everyone others know, and we are aware, we better than, and we all different types of things we tell ourselves to get through the day. What happening there is that we function with so many other people who we sharing the energy with. Our energy that we give off must begin and end somewhere. So in order for us to learn to attract what we need to function here, we must transfer the energy. Our awareness knows nothing about the transfer of energy. We just doing what we think we need to do. So we functioning and we going about. But like I say, on the subconscious level, the wheels of the subconscious, your subconscious, will come from the conscious mind. Or the conscious mind thinks about you and all these different things. So there's the subconscious level that associated with that, which should be your soul. And then there's for simple understanding, let's call it the soul. Talk about body, mind, and soul, right? So let's call it the soul. And then there's something greater that the soul belongs to, which is the greater energy. So you functioning with a limited energy, a limited understanding, and functioning in what you think you know, what happens there is, just as we mentioned earlier, everything inside of you, being energy, vibrates at a particular frequency. So your heart will vibrate at a particular frequency because it needs to beat a particular way every single day. And when that frequency change, you was running, so the frequency would change and it would go up or it would go down. Same thing for your eyes. If it's not vibrating on the same frequency every single day, next thing you know is because just like you needed glasses. So your body throw off the frequency it functions at on a regular basis, you get headache or you get pains, or that is exactly how it works. But you're not aware of this because we live in. So what takes place now is that because you vibrating and your vibration to the soul experience, to the subconscious experience, they're supposed to have a correlation, right? Because the soul's connection to the body and the mind is all about your truth from the greater universe, not your truth in your understanding. So when the soul, who is really in charge of this journey for all of us, and you going down a different road with a completely different vibration and attracting the things in your life that your mind saying is good for you, but it goes against your true nature, what's going to happen is a crash is going to come.
Mm-hmm.
Because the crash, regardless if it's emotional crash, physical crash, in any form, the crash is going to come so that you could get perspective, so that you could refocus and continue not down the particular road you was walking. You follow?
So the more
Right.
severe the crash is,
Yeah.
the more out of alignment that you are from.
The more severe the crash is because there's so much other things that, I don't want to say baggage, but there's so many other things that's happening
I'd say baggage.
that you need to let go of.
Mm.
Yeah? I didn't want to say baggage, but it will be baggage plus many other things. And these things that function in your awareness, maybe even relationships, or the way you would utilize money, or it could be anything, because all of it is just energy and how you function in the energy. And when you're going against what your ideal is, and I'm not talking about your ideal in your mind, that is something completely different. We're talking about the ideal for who you truly are, who you came here to be. When you're going against that, things start to correct itself from the subconscious into the conscious. Follow?
Yeah.
So you would watch certain shows like we talk about recently, lower vibration, but they don't explain a lot of these things. So you would try to set yourself to achieve certain things, and you would try to talk yourself through positive affirmations, and you would try to live in a particular way. But your checks and balances not being done by your mind. Your mind, the checks and balances that your mind doing only limited to a conscious experience that you have in the world.
Mm-hmm.
The subconscious or the conscious, the greater consciousness doing a different level of checks and balances. And this is why the greater alignment so important, because you would continue and then you realize 15 years pass and nothing is changing for you. 20 years, nothing is changing for you, because your vibration is on one level, your energy is on one level. You might try, but you're trying by doing the things that come to your mind that not connected to the greater understanding of the world, the universe, the everything like that. So your energy, your vibration always need to work in the correct, between them, they must work together. And then within that, it must work with your environment. And then you in the environment must work to the greater world. So you have in you a big dream, a gigantic dream that you want to achieve. It must go in that same sequence. This have nothing to do with your body and your mind and your soul in that way without them working together. This is not the job of your body that you would dress and look a particular way and your mind say, I feel good about me and all this. That's what happens. But the soul is also along for the journey. They must work together. Once you could find that inner peace, that humility, that self-discipline, that obedience, that everything to do only with your experience, because you might be very disciplined inside and it might look undisciplined on the outside, and people would look and say XYZ about you, but you know what, that's their business. Once you thoroughly aligned, you doing what you have to do. But often when you thoroughly aligned, you will flow with everything else. And I'm not talking about what society does say everybody must follow a common way. Not that. You would flow with everything else because you will have a greater awareness of everything. So energy and vibration work together like that. They have a thing they say, raise your frequency and whatnot. I dare anyone to go and try to raise your frequency to talk to the birds, as if it's so easy. Raise your frequency to go and try to convince somebody from one of the down community, the depressed community. Go and tell them about raising the frequency and spend weeks with them to talk about raising the frequency without them understanding who they truly are. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. You will start to raise your frequency. You will be raising your frequency. How you raising your frequency? By reading, by doing these things. Okay, great. So you're filling the mind, but the mind is also connected to something else. So what would happen is, if you doing it along the path that is there for you, you would awaken something different for you. Case in point, what happened to Catherine? you will awaken something different for you, and then you will be able to receive what the universe have for you. But if you just trying to read and watch YouTube videos and you're not trying to awaken any truth, the real truth, not your truth, nothing gonna change. You'll just realize 5 years from now you're still watching YouTube videos
So
and you're
could I
still trying to understand the laws of attraction, as they call it.
ask a question? So the awakening is the getting the awakening is part of that is through meditation, but the other part of it is through being true to you.
Well, the being true to you is something that just happens almost naturally. Because when you awaken, you realize that my experience in life is beyond, and I am beyond. And then the things that we tend to look at as important no longer seem as important.
Yeah.
We start to get a different recognition of who we are in this frame of life.
Mhm.
And now you realize that I can help more people. Because how you help more people? Not by going out and do anything. Get you in order, and then you would affect the energy and the vibration of other people. You understand what I mean?
Yeah. So is that like
Wait. Before we continue, Arlene has been holding on for a really long time with a question.
Oh,
She
sorry.
asked, there are people who ridicule you for that freedom, though. How do you deal with that?
When somebody ridicules you, what part of your body, your mind, what your soul, what part they really affected? It's just the ego. It's not your mind. It's just the ego aspect of you. That's what takes offense immediately when you hear something you dislike. And as you grow and you rise to a greater understanding, you will reduce the ego, because the ego just not along for the journey, but it is along for the journey to ensure that you're always, making certain decisions, but it's merely it focused around your mind and your physical body. Awareness would also work inside of that space. This is why you could affect. I know you heard some more than one, about at least half would have heard it already, that something that you do here would affect somebody in another place, right? So you decide to, I think they call it about the tree that fall in the forest or something like that,
did
and
you hear it?
it
Does it make
affects
a
somebody
noise?
somewhere else.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's because of the energy. So that's why you would want to put out good energy all the time. And the understanding of what is good energy is energy that works for you. And once the energy works for you, it will work for everyone. You follow?
Is that why, like, you get to a certain point and probably your friends that you had before, or you go into a place and it's like, I just not feeling you, like we're not connecting, like that energy is like a bad vibe, and I rather stay away from you than you not stay away in a bad way, you'll be, professional or whatever, but it's like it just doesn't click. So
That's
that's
back
the
to the
energy.
first part of the discussion. That's your conscious experience.
Mm.
So this person abrasive, and you could protect yourself, and that's totally fine. It's okay. When you're operating out of a greater awareness, then they could act how they want, they could be
And
how they
you'll be
want.
unaffected.
Yeah, not bothering you in the least.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the understanding that Arlene's, the people that she spoke of, who will say, and they would laugh. That's what they don't understand. And you function in a greater understanding of everything. That's not your business either, in terms of, and I'm not being cruel, when I say it's not your focus as a being who operating on a higher level. If people laughing, that's totally fine, because you know what, they will. because they don't understand.
I
And
have
then
a
what will
question.
happen is one day you would achieve purpose, you would achieve some level of actualization because you focusing and functioning within your space of truth, and they would look upon you and they would say all the worst things they could find about you and say nothing good, you know, happen to the best of us. That's what has take place. And I know people know what I'm talking about. Happen to the best of us. So that's totally fine. It's just part of the whole thing because society tends to want everyone to function in a particular way. And I'm not talking about conspiracy theory and all these things. Function with a like in a common understanding. Everybody, this is for everybody. You know, like what happened for COVID. And sorry, I'm bringing up all these different things, but yes, everybody put everybody in the same boat. That's how it is. And now they're recognizing that some people had immunity, some people this, some people that. It's just the way that it is. And you don't have to get angry with anyone. Don't get upset by anyone. You just focus on you.
I know
Can
that
I ask a
Edika
question?
had a question. Yes, go
Yeah.
ahead.
When you're during your day, right? You're the be okay, and then with me, it have a loved one who passed on.
Yeah.
But before, when I think of her, I used to be happy, and I used to just talk to her and say, "How you going? How
Yeah.
everything?" And I love you. But now, when I think of her, the energy is not the same. I feeling sad. So I want to know what's going on with me because I don't want to feel sad. I just
Well,
want to be
the
okay.
thing is, don't be upset with yourself for feeling sad is okay. Because you're working out of the attachment. You'll have to realize that they're not there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So you're working out of the attachment because you would have created an attachment based on how you felt about the person. You know, kind of like fear. You know, I'm sorry for going so deep in this thing, but kind of like fear, the attachment's not real either. They're not. It's just something that we convince ourselves that they are.
So
You know,
what is that feeling?
the feel is just the attachment. You're working out past the attachment, and because you're dealing with it, you had to go in and deal with it. So what's going to take place eventually with you is that slowly you would move along, and then you would continue. You hear the word I use? Continue to function in the space where you're dreaming.
Okay.
So they would continue to come to you in your dreams. You know why? Because that's life. And even
Okay.
because the energy changed from the physical form into a different form, it don't mean that they're gone anywhere. They're still there.
But I was happy before.
Just no longer you could see them.
But I wasn't feeling sadness before. I was feeling
Because you're now
love.
working past the
Past-
attachment.
Yeah. So remember, everything is in stages. So it's not necessarily well, stage one will come and then two and then three.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
But I think that's the process of grief too. Like grief come in different stages and different
Yes.
phases. But it comes in different stages and
Orders.
phases for
Yeah.
different people,
Yeah.
different order for different
Yeah.
people. You know,
Yeah.
so maybe you're just going through the phase of, okay, you're now acknowledging and really realizing, okay, the person is not here anymore and I can't talk to them.
Yeah.
So it's bringing you sadness,
Yeah.
you know, but with time, you know, for me, you know, like I just like to think about, you know, the person is happy where they're happy. So they're happy where they're at. So I'm happy for them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So as long as they have, because for me, when you love somebody, you want them to be happy. And
Yep.
if that person is happy, then all you have to be is happy for that person. But, you know, it takes time. So it's just the phase and the acknowledgement, you know,
And you see
and
what
realizing and accepting.
that's when you start to function on the greater awareness in that understanding that you and everything connected, then you wouldn't even think about that anymore because you realize that everything just is.
Mm.
Yeah, they move from being in your awareness, because that's all it is. They move from your awareness into a greater awareness where they originally came from, where all of us come from. And because they function now in the greater awareness, and we no longer see, hear, feel, touch, we use our senses, we, believe that something else happened. They transition on, and we put so much effort and through our understanding into that without really recognizing it for what it truly is. Let us look at it from what we're discussing tonight: energy and the energy transfer, right, into something else. That's all it really is. And if you take time, like before you go to sleep, and you put some meditative thought, or just sit silently and you call on them, before the end of the week you would have the dream. Because
For that dream.
it is truth that is beyond your understanding.
Yeah.
Because they just function in a different form of energy until they function in the same type of energy again. You would recognize them, you would know who they are. You just holding on onto a memory and a feeling that causing the attachment to something, and they have nothing to do with how much you love them and all these different things. Your love is genuine love, right? For people who move on, genuine love. But when they go and they move from form to form, what we hold on to is the memory and the way that they make us feel. And that is what we hold on to, because that is what would have made the attachment happen. Yeah, whether you're attached to money, to anything in life, is attachment that does take place. And the attachment is not what you want to be, because with the attachment, especially for things, you're giving away yourself to the attachment. Yeah, where people are concerned and you feel a particular way, because just like you are, they are also part of you, but they're no longer part of your experience, but they are still part of you. I don't know if anybody understanding. Not trying to go too deep.
Yeah.
We are all one.
They are still part of you. So what takes place is that you can call on them at any period. But the reality is, what you attach to is how they look, how they smell, what they felt like, everything like that. And when they move on and they take a different form of energy, they no longer look like that, talk like that, because they function in a different space. But you hold on to a memory. And when you call on them, they will come to you resembling what you calling for. You follow?
I want to add something in that.
Sure.
In Nika's case, there's now a sadness. But when my older sister passed recently, I was kind of okay. And as the days passed, I found myself feeling angry and vexed that she just, in my mind, wimp out. Wimp out of life. And so now, when she comes to mind, I don't have kind thoughts. I just have wimp out thoughts. Life is so thing, and you just wimp out. And after that, I just is it something I need to resolve? That is it a disappointment I had, because I always thought she would recover, and I know I'm just vexed with her.
But I think
I
that
just
there's nothing for you when we talk about outside of the spiritual, like psychological, that is all there's a process in grief. And that is part of the process of
Yeah,
grieving, the
Yeah,
anger.
it
it
is.
comes in
It
so many
is.
It
forms.
is.
There's
Correct.
a lot of processes
Yes,
to
it
come to
is.
that point where you feel like not healed, but you feel like you're in an okay place to accept.
Yeah.
So all of that is part of the grieving process.
Because you know what I realized too, and a lot of times in instances like that, it's like you're searching for answers, like why this happened so, and why it
Yeah.
happened so, and why she do it so, and why it didn't happen like so. Is because you're trying to get
agree.
understanding of what happened, and then sometimes you just have to accept that what is,
And that's the truth.
and that is how
Because
it was supposed
just
to
like
happen.
you do, the loved one had choice. So they make a choice. And just like you, attracting things into their life all the
Hmm.
time,
Hmm. Hmm.
and then they just reach to a point where they say, well, you know what, time to move on.
Hmm.
Because as you say, this journey for all of us in here and for the 8 billion is not about the body and the mind.
Hmm.
It's not.
And then you have to remember too, some
Okay.
people think that they're doing the best, and unknowingly, sometimes the best isn't. But as Quentin rightfully said, remember everybody has choice.
Yeah. But the
Hmm.
good part about it is it will be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because as we mentioned before, you have a conscious awareness of your body and your mind. You have a conscious understanding of your body, your mind, and your surroundings, everything else that's going on around you. And you're trying to work with an energy inside of that framework. And then there's the subconscious that you're lathering and you're nurturing unconsciously, and that is connected to a larger field that always doing checks and balances to ensure that you serve the purpose of you. And I'm not talking about no great purpose who want to be the Raja and the king and nothing like that. That you come to enjoy your life completely and do the things because you're connected to everything and everyone. Do the things that would make you happy because in you being happy, others will be happy.
Mm-hmm.
So they would always try, here I said they would always try to get you to function as you should, even when you're no longer seeing them.
I feel like for me, I don't know if it's appropriate to say it, but I mean, I feel like now coming into the awareness of like there's no death. Remember before it was heaven or hell, and you're wondering, oh my
Yeah,
God, did my so and so go to hell? And you're kind of worried because, oh my God,
yeah.
did they go to hell? And, but now you know it's not about that. So I feel that in itself is a comfort,
Yeah,
that,
remember they could get lost, huh? Because
well,
the attachment to, remember we talk about the attachment,
That's
the
right.
mm,
attachment to the mind and the
physical.
body
Mm,
would put you in a position where when you move from here, especially if it happened like that, you can't transition. So you're no longer there. You're still in shock. So you just move around. And
Wait, I think Anika, you have another question?
Yeah. How it is, it have days that sometimes you come home from work or sometimes you're home
yeah.
and the energy not feeling right. Is
Energy
there
not
anything you could do?
when you mean like you're feeling tired
No, the energy
or
doesn't be
you're feeling
feeling
like
right in your home.
you get like a vibe.
Yes, it doesn't be
Okay.
feeling right.
Usually when you have a feeling, because the reason why you have feelings is because the feeling there to guide you through your moments, right? Because none of you could have a feeling for something that you have never experienced, right? The only way you would know how You could feel for something you never experienced is using your imagination. Okay? So what takes place is that when you go into a space, walk into a room that have a lot of people and you feel a vibe, is because you feel any particular energy is around you. Now, if you functioning from a guarded perspective, like how the original conversation started, if you're functioning from a guarded perspective and you're protecting yourself, you tune in and you do that because you don't know what you're dealing with. If you're operating on the higher level, then you don't have to do that because nothing can affect you. Nothing unless you allow it to. Right? And if you allow it to, you're not functioning from a higher level.
Understood.
So if you feel in a particular way, you get a vibe, protect yourself. Yeah? Meaning you step out, step away, you clean, you do whatever you think you need to do because you would know exactly what to do. You know, but you must touch into the recognition that let me know what, you know, my soul angle is on this. You know, so you must touch to something greater, touch to the universe and know exactly, well, this is what I need to do. I need to clean, or I need to throw some water right in this corner here. I need to pass a cobweb broom on top of here. You know, it's so many different forms. And
Understood.
you look at it and some people will watch it and they would say, let me laugh at what these people doing or whatever is the case. But yeah, it have nothing to do with whether you're religious or you're anything like that. You just doing what you think you need to do to protect yourself. It have nothing to do with what they believe. This is you.
I
And
understand.
if your ego gets involved in it and say, well, they will laugh, don't do it. Well, sometimes it'll go different ways. But generally, which is the better way, and I'm sure you recognize that, if you're functioning from a greater mind, a higher mind, nothing. What can they do? Well, nothing. You
I
don't have any
understand.
vibe anymore. You wouldn't feel any vibe or anything like that because you only feel this is the energy now. This is the way that this person is thinking. I need to do this. This is how it is. Everything is as it should be. Yeah. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, we did. Thank you.
The Monday is not going anywhere. We'll be doing the Mondays on a regular basis. And there's so many different topics to cover about who we truly are. And in the understanding of it, you'll realize creating your way, because that's who you are. You create every single aspect of everything that's in your life. You would be calling it onto you, whether you're aware of it or not. Just if we talk about the conscious mind and your conscious experience, then there's the subconscious you, and you always have them correlating, and they always drawing things into your conscious experience, whether you would like it or you don't like it. Often we only want the things that will make us happy and smile without understanding that there are things that would come our way to bring us down because we need to be stronger or we need to neutralize the way we act in, or so many different forms. We'll always
Is
cover
that
it as
is that the same with dreams? Because ever since the situation with my older sister who passed, I find that I don't trust dreams anymore. I don't trust I don't trust them anymore. Because in the dreams, she was always getting better and she had gotten better and was back on. And then boom. So it's like, what are dreams?
and you see how simple that is, and you attach yourself to expectation. So it had nothing to do with the conscious reality of what is happening. And then she decided that I'm ready to go. And that have nothing to do with Catherine. Nothing, absolutely nothing. That was just a choice that she made. And we have to accept choices because we only in control of this,
So,
of every single being here.
Hmm.
They in control of them alone. So we can't make a demand for someone. You would dream it in a particular way because that's what being shown, that's what you want to see. The next question would be, how do I get this to happen? And if you didn't take the opportunity to ask, how does this happen? Then you're not moving it from dream into reality.
Yeah.
You follow?
She gone
So we
now.
just, yeah, the truth about life is that is beautiful,
Oh no.
but it's beautiful in the sense that you recognize that you are more than what you think you are. Then you see the beauty in life. You really see the beauty.
Hmm.
But prior to that, you function in however what's it to say? How it hang it swing, how it hang it swing.
And laugh.
How it is doing. Yeah. Oh no. Yeah.
So, guys, if there are no more questions, we want to say thank you and